Of all the women in Colorado history, one of the most spectacular, most appealing, I think, is Aunt Clara Brown.
Former slave turned pioneer Clara Brown was known as the Angel of the Rockies.
Clara Brown, she was born in the early 1800s in Virginia. She was born enslaved. And shortly after that, in 1806, she was actually sold to Mr. Ambrose Smith. She met another slave named Richard, and they married, and they actually had 4 children. In 1835, Mr. Ambrose passed away, and his family sold his property, which at that time would have been his slaves, to settle his estate. So at this time, Clara Brown and her family they're all separated.
She's later asked about this, what's the saddest day of her life? And she says, when they sell my husband to one owner, they sell the kids all to different owners.
Clara was actually purchased by George Brown, where she gets the last name Clara Brown from. He treated her fairly well, helped foster education, and also helped her look for her family.
When George Brown died in 1856, as stipulated in his will, Clara was granted her freedom.
She went to Missouri, where free slaves had a much better chance of making it. And there she hooked up with a wagon train headed for Colorado.
She's actually forced to walk on foot while they're in the stagecoaches. It's about a 700-800 mile trek.
After not finding any news of her family in Denver, Clara followed the tide of miners into the mountains.
And there makes her living, I think, the hardest possible way, washing the long johns of miners.
So she charges upwards of 50 cents a shirt. She starts really just building her own wealth, and then she starts being smart with it. She starts investing, she buys property, she invests in mining rights and things like that.
Clara collected gold dust from the miners' pockets and made extra money cooking and cleaning.
She also becomes very early on a philanthropist, helps build St. James Methodist Church in Central City, a beautiful stone church that is still there, still active today, and has a plaque on the outside explaining Aunt Clara Brown's great contributions to that church.
She's also having church service in her living room, and she's helping both black and white prospectors who need help. So this is kind of the time where I believe she earned the nickname the Angel of the Rockies, because just for her generous nature, and all this is because she had the entrepreneurial spirit to invest and start businesses and to actually have this disposable income.
At the end of the Civil War, Clara liquidated her investments to travel to Kentucky. She didn't find her daughter, but she paved the way for relatives and other former slaves to move to Colorado.
Around 1882, she's actually reunited with Eliza, and finds out Eliza has a daughter of her own. So Clara Brown realizes she's a grandmother. They moved back with her in Denver. This is near the end of her life, around 1883, 85. She's receiving lots of accolades. Her stories people are becoming aware of it. And this is also when she gets accepted into the Colorado Pioneers Association. So she's actually the first African-American and the first African-American woman to receive that honor. The same year, 1885, where she passes away due to heart problems.
Clara Brown is considered one of the 100 most influential women in Colorado's history. Clara's life and achievements were commemorated with a stained glass portrait of her in the old Supreme Court chambers at the state capitol in 1977.